You'd mentioned just a bit ago that if you do something innovative and you stay with it, people notice. What I've seen is that people come up with wonderful ideas and they don't stick with it. They expect it to be, a year in, and if it's not making them $1 million or six figures, and they abandon it or they get tired of it. So, do you have any tips for people to kind of keep that fire going with a project, even though you may be the only one beating that drum?
I'd almost answer that question in the opposite of what you've asked, which is I use my fire for a project. My projects are not 2-year projects, okay? They might take 2 years to bring to fruition, but they don't take up large amounts of my time for 2 years. So my projects, compared to many projects, are relatively short term, compared to, say, a feature film. So that kind of fire inside, if I lose that fire about a project, I almost take it as a sign. If I've lost fire about this project, why should anybody else care about it? And that's one of the signs. And because what I tend to do is I don't take one project and push it forward. I'm in quite a fortunate position, in fact, because I'm an academic, I am salaried. All right, so I get money every month, no matter what, and they let me spend at least 50% of my time doing what I want to do, as long as it's good for the university. So doing the composing or the filmmaking, so what I do, because of that, I can take a relatively risky approach. I throw lots of projects at the wall. I come up with loads of project ideas. I start off far too many projects. I send far too many emails to loads of people. And what happens is some projects just die. And they die quite naturally and it tends to be, I just lose interest in them. And I do use that as a barometer, almost. There will come a time, even in shorter term projects, however, but for me, it's not about losing enthusiasm. What it's about is just pain. It's just the stress. You've got a fixed date when this has to be shown or performed, and something's gone wrong. I mean, and the emotions are so intense that they override the rational mind. So sometimes it can seem like a problem can't be solved. The reason I'm in LA is because I was invited to do a performance for Stanford at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. So I drove down here for a holiday afterwards. Anyway, that performance, I was there in the Academy in front of the world's top physicists, and set up the equipment for my subatomic particles and my violinist, and the equipment for the subatomic particles was not working. This was within an hour, having travelled halfway across the world to do this performance. Within an hour of the performance, the equipment wasn't working. Now, it wasn't that it wasn't working. What it was is there was a problem that needed to be fixed, but I was so emotionally overwrought, and the pressure was so much that it felt that what my mind was saying is, I could fail, I'm going to fail, what if I fail? Whereas what you have to do is overcome that, and in spite of that, it's got to be, I've got to solve this, I can. And then eventually I was like, I can solve this. And I remember another situation with that same performance, the premiere back in England at Plymouth University, because that was actually, it was commissioned by Peninsula Arts at Plymouth University, and we had the premiere there. Because I'm a member of the Interdisciplinary Centre for Computer Music Research, which is where we developed it. Now, I remember a few days before that performance, somebody said to me, this may not be able to, I don't want to go into details, but basically something happened 2 days before, which may have meant the performance couldn't happen. And I remember sitting at my desk and I remember thinking, this pain is too much. I can't cope with this stress. It had been in multiple papers already. I'd produced a video which had gone around the web, and I remember sitting at my desk and just my head sinking to my hands and just thinking, I can't cope with this. But then a short time after, I thought, I have to cope with this. And I think that does develop muscles inside of you, but it also makes me, I remember I tweeted after the San Francisco performance, because it was a great success. The performance at San Francisco a couple of days ago was a great success. So, and I remember tweeting, kind of saying, why do I do this to myself? Am I a masochist? Why would I do this? But of course, the reason I do it, that performance, that thing I did, no one else has done that. Maybe there's very few people around who would want to do it. It's an expression of me. you know, and I got the opportunity to be paid to do that, to put it on. And I've done that now. You know, no one can take that away from me. I was at that venue in front of those people in that city doing what for some people might think was impossible, and I did it. And that's it. That's a bit of my life now done. And there's a few things, and a lot of those, when I look back, have been arts things over the last few years. You know, I achieved that, I did that, and that's I've got that for the rest of my life now.